ध्वनियों, ब्रह्म से शिव बाबा पधारे। सोहनी सूरत मोहनी मूरत, ज्ञान के मोती, भव्य मुख पर चंद्रमासी, चमकती ज्योति, दिव्य दर्शन दिव्य वाणी, बोलते ध्वनियों, ब्रह्मा मुख से मधुर वाणी, बोलते ध्वनियों, ब्रह्म से शिव बाबा पधारे। विश्व में थी पाप की जब घटा छाई, तब विभूति आप जैसी धरती पे आई। एक तार में बंध के सारे बोलते ध्वनियों, ब्रह्मा मुख से मधुर वाणी, बोलते ध्वनियों, ब्रह्म से शिव बाबा पधारे, बोलते ध्वनियों, ब्रह्मा मुख से मधुर वाणी, बोलते ध्वनियों, ब्रह्म से शिव बाबा पधारे।
Good morning. Good morning, Jayanti Didi. We welcome you all with this wonderful flower, and from the hearts of Europe, and we have Africa, we have also UK with us. So welcome, and we are happy that you are reading the Murli with us, because you are now the face of Brahma Kumaris. It is like this, and whatever we can support and whatever we can learn from you, please let us know. We are eager to do it, to fulfill Baba's task. Hearty welcome.
Thank you, Sister Gopi, and to everyone, especially Isnal and Lewis also, who put this together. So it's a privilege to be with all of you. And the song that you selected was a very special one, because if you recall, on Thursdays when we would go to Om Shanti Bhavan or wherever it is we are, Shantivan, and also even Gyan Sarovar, this song would be played. And just a few sentences of this song. Shiva has incarnated from the land of the Brahma element, and he is saying Hari Om, which is different to Om Shanti. Hari Om means I am the one who is the remover of sorrow and bestower of happiness. And the other side, Om Shanti, of course, we also can say Om Shanti. I am the being of peace. But in Bharat, many, many people, especially some communities, always use this expression Hari Om. And when we respond with Om Shanti, they nod their heads, but they also say, you don't want to say Hari Om? And then I have to explain to them that Hari Om is actually the words that can be spoken only by the Supreme. And so they begin to think about it because they've just said Hari Om like good morning. And so nobody thinks about it. And so, but this song talks about when I, Shiva, incarnate into the body of Brahma from the Brahmalok, I say Hari Om. And so it was a beautiful reminder of days of Madhuban. And of course, today's Murli, every Murli is also a wonderful reminder of Madhuban. But today's Murli is a reminder for doing everything in a worthwhile way to prepare to go home. And the two things that tie us down to this old world and old karmic accounts, Baba's mentioned, it is attachment and also greed. Ego, Baba often talks about that, the root of body consciousness. But in particular today, Baba's talked about attachment and greed. So we hear Baba's Murli and then a little bit of chit chat and then any questions that you may have about the Murli. I'll be happy to join you for all of this. So it's good, it's Saturday, holiday for everyone. No one's in a rush to do anything else. Anyway, I think with Zoom, we've stopped rushing around so much. Is that right? I think most people have stopped rushing. So this is the Murli of the 22nd of May. And the essence, I'll read it slowly because I'm aware there might be many translations going on. Sweet children, use everything you have in a worthwhile way for God's service and thereby create your future because death is over your head. The sad thing about COVID has been to get the news from India of so many, many, many surrendered sisters and brothers, young ones, older ones, leaving the body through COVID. And so last year when COVID started, nobody could imagine it would go on so long. But also, I don't think anybody in India imagined that it would reach the extent that it has. But of course, Baba told us everything in advance, suddenly, and it came suddenly. First lockdown, second lockdown, and in some countries, third lockdown, suddenly, suddenly, suddenly. So we're seeing very much the movement in a very fast way to the end of the cycle. Question: even though you children listen to knowledge, why are some of you not able to imbibe it? And when Baba talks about this, it's usually one particular comment that Baba has to make. Answer: because you don't know how to churn the ocean of knowledge. Your intellects are dangling in yoga with the body and bodily relations. Only when attachment is removed from your intellects are you able to imbibe something. Attachment is such that it makes you absolutely like a monkey. This is why the Father reminds you of your first promise. Forget your body and all bodily relations and remember me alone. the practice of soul consciousness, the practice of detachment is maybe the most important lesson that Baba comes to teach us, the foundation for everything. And the song, no one is unique like the innocent Lord. Om Shanti. The Father sits here and explains, and you children clearly understand that only the unlimited Father is called the one who reforms that which has been spoiled. When everything's in a mess, then at that moment, Baba comes to sort it all out and put it right again. Krishna cannot reform that which has been spoiled. Shiva, not Krishna, is the God of the Gita. Shiv Baba is the creator and Krishna is the creation. Only the creator of heaven can be the one who gives you your inheritance of heaven. This is the biggest, the main mistake made in Bharat. No one could call Sri Krishna Baba. All the images are of this beautiful, handsome prince, the little one, the mature one, but all of them, the young one. So even speaking the Gita is shown never beyond 20, 25. So Baba, you wouldn't use that word. Only from Baba is the inheritance received, and only Bharat received it. Only in Bharat are Prince Sri Krishna and Princess Radhe remembered. The praise is only of the one highest on high Father. Sri Krishna is the highest on high creation, the master of the world. That is called the Sun dynasty, deity dynasty. The Gita is a scripture of the original eternal deity religion. No one is given this knowledge in the golden age. The Father only speaks it at the confluence age. This has to be proved first with the pictures. There are the images of both. The God of the Gita is this creator who is free from rebirth. It is not Sri Krishna, the creation. You know that Shiv Baba makes you become like a diamond. It is also remembered there are those who are as worthless as shells and those who are as valuable as diamonds. And nobody remembers that it's the same ones, the ones who had no value like shells and today are like diamonds. They don't know that it's that transition from the one to the other. It should remain in the children's intellects that the Father's direction is, remember me and the inheritance. He is the unlimited Father. Although Krishna does become the king of the world, he is still a master of the limited. Shiv Baba is not a king. There is, in fact, a lot of praise of the Gita. I was sharing how the name Krishna actually is a descriptive name of God. Akarshan Karnivala, the one who attracts all souls. And so Jagdish Bhai had many, many years ago I think it might even have been in the first Kumari's training in 1969. Jagdish Pai has taken the whole group through the different names of God in the Gita. And every single name of God in the Gita is a descriptive word, describing either the qualities of God or describing the task of God. The same thing for Arjuna. The name Arjuna comes, but together with that is many, many other names that are given to Arjuna. They are also descriptive of the qualities and also of the task. And so I've written to Usha-ben, the one in Madhuban, to see if she has that information, because she's, for the last many years, been focusing on the scriptures of India and sharing the interpretation of all of that in Baba's way with everyone. So she's taken up the story of the Ramayana, she's taken up the story of the Gita, the Mahabharata, all of these things. So I've asked her to see if she can find out and let me know, then I'll let you know also. But when Baba's talking about praise of Bharat, praise of God, it is definitely a descriptive name, not describing Krishna, the Prince of the Golden Age, because that doesn't fit on any level. It should remain in the children's intellects that the Father's direction is, remember me and the inheritance. He is the unlimited Father. Although Krishna does become the king of the world, he is the master of the limited. Shiv Baba is not a king. There is in fact a lot of praise of the Gita. Along with that, there is also praise of Bharat. Bharat is the great pilgrimage place for all religions. Bharat also, just as we become as worthless as shells, the state of Bharat is what we see today. But the Bharat of the past and the Bharat of the future, the highest. It is just because Krishna's name was inserted that its importance has been lost. It is because of this that Bharat has become as worthless as a shell. It is according to the drama, but you have to be cautioned. The Father explains very well. He tells you deep things every day, and so you have to change the old pictures and create new ones. This was a time when we still didn't have the pictures being printed, so every one was painted by hand. And so the Bhakti pictures to be removed and the new ones, plus all the different additions to be added on, as Baba would explain. This will continue till the end. You children should keep it in your intellects very clearly that Shiv Baba is giving you your inheritance. He says, constantly remember me alone, and your sins will be absolved. Your sins cannot be absolved by remembering Krishna. He is not the Almighty Authority. Only the Father is the Almighty Authority, and only He gives you your inheritance. People continue to remember Krishna. For instance, you may think that Sri Krishna said this, and that he also said, forget all the relations of your body and constantly remember me alone. A soul would remember his father. Baba seeing that for Bhagats to move from Krishna to the one is difficult. Okay, so Baba's giving a little bit of an experiment. Okay, even if Krishna is saying, forget the body and everything, are you ready to do it? But yet still, they don't know who is the supreme, and so they would still think of their Lokik father. Krishna is not the father of all souls. All of these things have to be churned and imbibed by your intellects. Some are unable to imbibe them because they are trapped in attachment. Afterwards, we can reflect a little bit on how dangerous attachment is. You have been singing. We will break away from everyone else and connect ourselves to only you. Mine is one and none other. However, attachment is such that it makes you totally like a monkey. A monkey has a lot of greed and attachment. It is also explained to wealthy people. Death is just ahead. Use everything you have for God's service and create your fortune. However, they continue to dangle after everything like monkeys and don't let go of anything. The Father says, remove your intellect's yoga from your body and all bodily relations. Follow the Father's Srimad. You say, this wealth, these children, etc., have all been given by God. Bhagats usually say this, it's come from God. So Baba's reminding them. So he himself has now come and says, all of your wealth and property, etc., are to finish. Some people's wealth will remain buried underground. Some will be taken by robbers. Some will be taken by fire. All these things have been mentioned. There will be earthquakes and everything will be destroyed. When an aeroplane crashes, or if there is a fire somewhere, thieves rush there before the police arrive. The Father explains, children, remove your attachment from bodily beings. Become conquerors of attachment. Body consciousness is the #1 enemy. Deities are soul conscious. When you become body conscious, you get trapped in the vices. You have been body conscious for half the cycle. You now have to practice being soul conscious. Human beings neither know these things at all, nor do they know God. They neither know souls, nor the Supreme Soul. No one knows how many births souls take, how they play their parts, or how they are actors. This is why they are called orphans. Baba uses this English word, orphans. They say that souls merge into the light. However, souls are imperishable. A part of 84 births is recorded in the soul. They say that a soul is a star, and yet they don't understand. They say that each soul is the Supreme Soul. They don't know the Father at all. They say of souls that a wonderful star sparkles in the center of the forehead. They don't say anything about God. He is called the Supreme Soul, and he resides in the Supreme Region. He is a point. He is free from rebirth, whereas souls have to take rebirth. It is said of God, he is the ocean of knowledge, the ocean of bliss, and the ocean of purity. Who gave the deities their inheritance? Nobody asks this question. Only Baba can ask the question because he knows the answer. The Father. No one at present is full of all virtues or 16 degrees, celestial degrees full, like the deities were. No one knows how they received their inheritance. Only the Father comes and explains to you. Only he is called the ocean of knowledge. He comes and gives you knowledge at this time, and then that disappears. Then there is devotion. That cannot be called knowledge. Salvation is received through knowledge. Only when there is degradation can the Father of salvation for all, the ocean of knowledge, come. Only the Father comes and bathes you in knowledge. Every morning, whatever you may have been feeling the day before, but you hear the Murli, and the Murli washes away all the things of yesterday, and the soul feels very comfortable again, clean and sparkling. So amazing, God's task of cleaning the soul every single morning, first with remembrance and then with Gyan. There cannot be salvation by bathing in water. Even these small matters have to be imbibed. The main thing is that the good pictures should be made large so that people can understand them clearly. The writing on them needs to be very clear. Let this remain in the intellects of those who create the pictures. Invite anyone to come and take the introduction of the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, and claim his or her inheritance for the future 21 births from the Father. Brothers and sisters, come and understand how you can claim the happiness of unlimited sovereignty from the Father from beyond. The invitation to the world, come and claim your inheritance. Learn here how to claim your inheritance from the unlimited Father. There is no question of being afraid about this. People continue to call out, "O purifier, come." The Father also says, lust is the greatest enemy. If you want to go to the pure world, you definitely do have to become pure. Those who are born through vice are called impure. There is no poison in the golden and silver ages. That is called the completely viceless world. There is no vice there at all. So why do you ask how children are born there? Just become viceless. Children will take birth there as they are meant to. Why do you even ask about it? Simply remember the Father and your sins of many births will be absolved. This is the world of impure souls, and that is the world of pure charitable souls. It's very easy to ask 1,000 questions about how and why and what and all of these things in terms of the transition of the end of the Iron Age to the Golden Age and what will happen in the Golden Age, many, many questions. But if I've understood soul and God, okay, let me continue to practice that, and other answers will gradually come. And especially, how can I understand how children can be born through the power of yoga if I haven't yet experienced the fullness of the power of yoga yet? So make this sit in your intellects very well. God comes and gives you the fruit of your devotion. Only the Father grants everyone's salvation and makes them into the masters of the world. The Father says, now become pure and constantly remember me alone. This is the great mantra. You will definitely receive the inheritance from the Father. The Father says, Baba's very powerful, beautiful guarantee, if I want to remember it. Remember me alone, and you will become Satopradhan. Guarantee from God. That's all you have to do. Remember Baba. But that doesn't mean you renounce everything else that you're doing and run away. But no, the important thing as you engage in karma, to stay in remembrance. You have to explain the picture of the ladder. Day by day, everything continues to improve. Write very clearly on this. The establishment of the original eternal deity religion through Brahma. When the original eternal deity religion existed, there were no other religions. Only those who become pure will go to the pure world. The more you fill yourselves with power, the connection, purity and power, both connected with the entry into the Golden Age. The more you fill yourselves with power, the earlier you will come into the pure world. Not everyone will come down together. The other day, Baba explained very sweetly how the beauty and the power and the joy of the first kingdom, the first Sri Lakshmi and Sri Narayan, will be new. And as soon as something is used, of course, you're going to say it's used. You won't say it's only being used for a short time, but one is new and the other is used. And so the Golden Age and the first birth. And then, yes, of course, the Golden Age continues, but that beauty and that sparkle is different. So Baba's saying that purity and power and the entry into the pure world. Not everyone will come down together. You know that there will be very few deities in the golden and silver ages, and that the population will then grow. There will be many subjects. Those who explain have to be very good. Tell them, come and claim your inheritance from the unlimited Father, the one to whom you have been calling out, O Baba. In fact, his name is Shiva. When you say God, Ishwar, Prabhu, you don't understand that he is your father. God up there somewhere, Prabhu far away, Ishwar, the one who's unlimited. And so how can you connect with him? You don't understand that he is your father and that you receive your inheritance from him. By saying Shiv Baba, you remember the inheritance. People say to him, salutations to the Supreme Soul, Shiva. Tell us the name of the Supreme Soul. There cannot be anyone beyond name and form. His name is Shiva. You must not say salutations to Shiva. Say salutations to the Supreme Soul, Shiva. Each word has to be explained very clearly. There isn't the pleasure of the Father's relationship when you say salutations to God or to Shiva. People have given themselves all these names. You know that a human being cannot be called God, but in fact, they use the name Bhagwan, another name for God, as the first name for children. And nowadays people are less religious, so they don't use the name Bhagwan so much, but even until 20 years ago, Bhagwan was a very common name. So you know that a human being cannot be called God. Brahma, Vishnu, Shankar are all called deities. Only the Father, the Creator, is the incorporeal one. Just as a physical father creates children and gives them an inheritance, in the same way, the unlimited Father also gives you your inheritance. He makes Bharat into the master of the world, the purifier of the whole world is only the one Father. None of them know. It would shock them if they knew. None of them know that the founders of their religions are also impure, are in Kali Yuga, the graveyard. It is now the time of settlement for everyone. Only the Father comes and uplifts everyone. Khuda, God, only comes at the time of settlement. Only He is the ocean of knowledge. It is written, the children of the ocean were completely burnt. That is, they become ugly and iron-aged by sitting on the pyre of lust. So how can they become beautiful again? The Father says, by staying on the pilgrimage of remembrance, by using the word yoga, people get confused. The Father says, remember me so that your final thoughts lead you to your destination. He explains so clearly. In spite of this, why do these things not sit in your intellects? It is because there is a lot of body consciousness. And so no one is able to imbibe. The Father shows you a very good method. What did the unlimited Father, whom everyone remembers, do when he came here? Bharat certainly has a memorial of God coming on earth. And what did he come to do? They also remember that he came to purify, that he came to transform the world, but of course they don't know any more detail of that. So he came to make Bharat into heaven. You have been receiving limited inheritances for birth after birth. Now, claim your unlimited inheritance from the unlimited Father for 21 births. Deities used to rule in the golden and silver ages. There was the Sun dynasty, then the Moon dynasty, then the Merchant dynasty, and then the Shudra dynasty. When you write these words, it becomes clear that they are the ones who take rebirth and enter the different clans. The Father explains to everyone. But because you are sitting here personally, face to face, you become very happy. If it is not in the fortune of some, they don't do any service. When they do service, their name will be glorified. It would be said, the daughters of Baba are so clever. They do everything. They even give us the inheritance of the sovereignty of heaven. They even give us all these goods, all the treasures of the Murli, the jewels. These pictures are like a mirror in front of the blind. I used to ask myself the question, but the blind can't see if there's a mirror in front anyway. And so the normal situation, if you have eyes, you can look into the mirror. If you don't, then you can't. But Baba's point is that such powerful ideas, such powerful images, that the third eye opens, and where you were blind before, now you look into the picture and you can see. So a mirror for the blind. There is no question of magic, etc. in this. Purity is the main thing. You understand that this is your last birth. If you want to go to heaven, the criteria, you definitely have to become pure. Destruction is just ahead. You definitely have to become pure. Sannyasis renounce their homes and families in order to become pure. Baba doesn't make us do that, so Baba's method is very much more elevated. The Father says, destruction is just ahead of you. Remember me, and your boat will go across. Acha, to the sweetest, beloved, long lost, and now found children, love, remembrance, and good morning from the Mother, the Father, Bap Dada. The spiritual father says namaste to the spiritual children. And I'm sure you're saying namaste back to Baba also. I can see some of you moving your lips. And the essence for dharana. Use everything you have in a worthwhile way before destruction takes place. This is the time of settlement. Therefore, you must definitely become pure. 2, remove your attachment from bodily beings and become a conqueror of attachment. Conquer body consciousness, the number one enemy. Break away from everyone else and connect your intellect in yoga with the Father. And the blessing. May you finish the force of obstacles by becoming powerful with churning power, and thereby be free from all attractions. Actually, this is, I think, a point taken from a Murli that came a few weeks ago, in which Baba was talking about speaking gyan and how that gives you temporary happiness, and then manan, the churning of knowledge, which allows you to imbibe it to a certain extent, but that also, you feel it for a short while, then sometimes it can disappear. But the actual stage of magana, in which you're lost in love, so the churning has helped you come to that stage. And so in that stage of just churning, yes, you're able to deal with obstacles, but then they sometimes come back again. But the stage of magna, where you're lost in love and the obstacles have totally disappeared. So it seems to be connected with that Murli. At present, there is a need for you, souls, to fill yourselves with all powers with churning power. For this, be introverted and churn every point so that the butter, the essence, can be extracted and you can become powerful. Such powerful souls experience supersensuous joy. They are not attracted by anything temporary. The powerful stage of spirituality that is created through their stage of being absorbed is able to finish the force of obstacles. So manan, the power to churn, and that brings you to the point where you can recognize the obstacle and try and go beyond. But when you're totally absorbed, lost in love, then that obstacle is removed. Slogan: those who receive everyone's respect in the Brahman world can be seated on a throne. So Sangam Yug and the future. And Sangam claiming everyone's respect, and then the future throne. So let's have a few minutes of silence and then a few thoughts, reflections on the Murli, and then questions. Om Shanti. So Baba taking up several different topics, but the main one that Baba wanted us to focus on today was to ask ourselves the question, I understand what Baba is saying. I believe what Baba is saying. I accept what Baba is saying. And yet, how come neither am I able to let go of attachment, nor am I able to stay in God's remembrance to the extent that I would like to? And so Baba pointing out that between that desire to achieve that stage and actually being able to achieve that stage, between those two things is churning. And so just taking up any subject from Baba's Murli, or any subject that I personally have been thinking about, just to reflect on that, and then to be able to go deeper and deeper and understand and realize what Baba is saying, but also to experience what Baba is saying, is going to engage my intellect in such a powerful way that I'm not going to be distracted by anyone or anything. Baba talks about attachment to the body, attachment to bodily beings, and also attachment to possessions, whether it's my stick, the man who said, I want to leave my home in search of purity and go, and the story's going that he carried a stick with himself. And the wife said, come back, leave the stick behind. If you're leaving everything, leave behind the stick. So whatever is my support, whatever it is, I think it's an absolute need. Am I able to let go of that? And the answer from Baba is, the more you churn and the deeper you go into the experimentation of all the things that Baba's talking about, the more you have the capacity to be able to reach that stage and let go of everything else. I think for many of us, we would say, of course we understand Baba's knowledge, but then maybe the reason that we don't spend time churning is because we think that we only need to churn when it's time to give Gyan to somebody else. If I'm told I have to take a class, if I'm told I have to conduct the Murli, so I'll give it time and reflect on it. But it'll be for that purpose of being able to share it. And so that Murli that I was talking about, the Avyakt Murli, Varnan, the speaking, Manthan, the churning, and Magna, the absorption in love. And so maybe I take up pencil and paper and churn writing so that I'm preparing for my talk. But can I take it as my responsibility to be able to feed myself nourishment every single day by taking something that Baba has said in the Murli and reflecting on it, so that every aspect becomes very clear to me and I know why I am on this path. Think back to your early days in Raj Yoga, and you'll remember that there was such a fascination with Gyan. Every day you would go racing to the center to hear new ideas, new things, and every day it was a stimulus for you. Well, recreate that same enthusiasm and that same excitement so that today I look forward to the Murli every day. What is Baba going to tell me today? What treasures is Baba going to share? Don't think, oh, well, I've read these Murlis 5 times already, or it's the same thing again. As soon as that thought comes, it's the same thing again. Boredom begins. But the boredom isn't because there isn't something of substance in Baba's Murli. The boredom comes because I have laziness of the intellect. Interesting, isn't it? The physical laziness is one thing. And yes, of course, I get too lazy to wake up before Amrit Vela and prepare my mind and body to be able to be stable and fresh for Amrit Vela. And so the clock keeps ticking, and maybe instead of 3:30, 3:45, I say 5 minutes before yoga is fine. But of course, it's not enough, not really to prepare mind and body. And so the time gets shifted. And instead of 4 o'clock, it's now 4:05, or it's 4:10, or later and later and later. And so that's physical laziness, but it's connected with mental laziness. And that at that moment, I'm saying it doesn't really matter, it won't make much difference. But of course it does. And so more than the physical laziness, or even say, for example, nowadays I hear this sound quite a lot from here and there. Bhog is a ritual. Why do we need to do it? Yes, in Bhakti, they offer bhog and it's a ritual. But here, whose remembrance am I cooking in? For whom am I cooking? Just me? Then there's just ego. Or then I'll say, but I'm not going to eat today, so I don't need to cook today. Or I've got leftovers from yesterday, so I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to cook anything fresh. But no, Baba is my child, and I have to cook even a little bit, something fresh for my child. Or even if I don't want to cook, let me offer some fruits that I haven't offered before. So let me get some fruits, let me offer some fruits, or if what I'm going to have is salad, let me prepare a little dish beautifully for Baba of salad and offer that to Baba. Because this is then my connection with the reminder that it's God who is feeding me, God who is taking care of me, God who is supporting me. And so my duty is to give thanks and appreciate. And that connection with Baba, in which I have appreciated what God is giving, is going to last through the whole cycle. And so if I want God to protect me, if I want God to take care of me and to feed me, a very simple act, the act of offering to God. It's not a ritual. It's a real experience from the heart and gratitude for God to be able to do this. So churn. What is Baba saying? What does Baba mean by this? Experiment with it. Everything which is part of Srimad, which is part of Brahman life, but which are the things that you've seen in Madhuban, the things that you've heard about. And just ask yourself the question, how much do I understand this? Why is this happening? What is going on? And the more deeply I understand, of course, the more powerful my experience. And so, yes, everything will be in line. I'll be able to follow Srimad accurately. I'll be able to experience supersensuous joy. And then, yes, even the force of obstacles will go away because my churning will have led me to this experience. You know, at one point I said to Raju Bhai, the point of the blessing tallies so often with the main text of the Murli. I used to think maybe he goes through the Murlis and finds things that are connected. And he said, no, he's got a set of Murlis and he takes up the Murli. And of course, just a short passage from the Murli becomes the Avyakt Murli, becomes the blessing. And he said that, no, it just happens. And so from usually you find how with the blessing, there's a continuity. And so Baba's spoken about one thing, next blessing, it'll be connected with that. Next blessing connected with that. So maybe 3 or 4 times, depending on the Murli. The extracts are from the same Murli. And so today, very much connected with today's Sakar Murli, but also showing us how this is what Sakar Brahma Baba did himself. There was nobody to explain anything to him. But his churning, not just on the Gyan, but also his relationship with Baba and that conversation with Shiv Baba, which is going on so that then it's preparing the soul to be able to go into the depth of Baba's knowledge. And of course, if my intellect is full of all of these treasures because I've churned them and because I've absorbed them, and I'm experiencing the truth of all the things that Baba's saying, then no distractions, no attachments, not to the body, not to bodily beings, and definitely not to any possessions or things. So what am I doing? Am I doing this inner work? Lokik people talk about the inner work, and definitely this is that inner work that I need to do. And so attachment, it dissolves. Because if I struggle with attachment, it can last for decades. But if I use the methods that Baba's giving me, the churning, and that not just fills the space in here, but like I said, it makes me understand deeply, realize deeply each aspect. So then I make sure there's no distractions, either by my body or by bodily beings. And the other thing that's connected very much with this, the more deeply I churn, the more deeply I experiment with soul consciousness to feel the benefit of this, and God consciousness. And the combination of both of these will allow the attachments to dissolve and become free. I don't fight with body consciousness, but I create my effort to maintain soul consciousness. I don't fight with people around me and say, I mustn't hug you, I mustn't touch you. COVID taught us that also. But the reality that in a family, of course, you're going to express your love, sometimes by cooking something special, sometimes by giving them little gifts, sometimes just simply giving them a smile and a hug. And so that's not attachment. That is maintaining my relationship so that I'm not incurring more karma. But I'm able to do that in Baba's remembrance, so that what they see from me is not just my smile, but a special smile, which is touched by God's love. They eat my food, and again, they feel that nobody cooks like this, and it's simple. But that feeling of love and offering to God and God's love filled within the food. And so that's going to bring them closer to God and let go of the attachment to you. Because one is my attachment to them, the other is their attachment to me. My attachment to them, deep soul consciousness will remove it, but also Daddy's story about how she was feeling a bit sad after having surrendered, and Mama couldn't answer why she should be feeling sad. No mistakes, everything in Srimad and good service, but still this feeling of heaviness and sorrow. And so Mama said to her, go to Baba. And she spoke to Baba. And Baba had the answer. Baba said, you don't have attachment to your lokiks, but they have attachment to you, because when you were with them, you gave them a lot of happiness. And of course, you know Dadi. And so even pre-Gyan, her life was of service, of dedication, some form or another. So she was one who'd be doing everything for others to make them comfortable. And so this message from Baba, and then her question, Baba, how do I deal with it? And Baba's answer, you still have the consciousness, I am Janki. When your state of consciousness has finished this completely, I'm God's child, I'm a soul. When you've got rid of the consciousness, I am Janki, then in that state of consciousness, yes, definitely, they will also be able to let go. Because at the moment, you think I'm Janki and they're remembering Janki. But you let go and they won't remember Janki either. And so on this very subtle level of attachment, can I clean myself completely of attachments, possessiveness, dependencies, all are different grades of the same thing. And so let me be able to let go and just take everything that Baba's giving me. I don't need anything else. I remember Jagdish Pai saying to me once, again, this would have been very, very early on. And this would have been in 1974 in February, when I was spending time with him at Kamla Nagar. We were creating the pictures of the postures of Raj Yoga. And so he said to me, can you count how many mangoes you've had in your life? And I mean, how can you count? When I was a child, I had many, many. And then later also, maybe every so often, but there's no way I could count. And he said, that's what I tell myself. If I'm tempted to have a mango and it's not being shared with everybody, is just sitting there attracting me, I ask myself the question, how many mangoes have I consumed in my life? Do I need another mango? And I get detached. And so the lesson he was teaching, think about what you have already. Not just mangoes, but whatever it is that's attracting me, that says, I want more, I want more. And of course, you've seen how when somebody has a certain amount of wealth, they want to use it to generate more wealth, more wealth, more wealth. And they're never going to be able to use it in their lifetime, or even if they don't even know about Kali Yuga finishing, but even their children aren't going to be able to use it in their lifetime. And so, of course, we have the examples of a few multi-billionaires who have been able to say, okay, I'm creating this foundation, and rather than only my children, I'll give something to my children, but rather than only my children, I'm going to create this foundation that's going to serve the community of the poor of the world. So a few people like that. But have I reached that stage where I say, I have enough? There really is nothing more than I need. Food? Yes, of course, my offering to Baba, and Baba's going to provide me. And yes, if I'm honest and ready to work, there'll always be something available for me. And so no greed for anything. And of course, if my buddhi is occupied, I want, and desires are something that never stop. And so greed just multiplies. I say, I want this and I get it. I want another. So the story of the monkey sees the chickpeas in the jar and puts his hand to catch the chickpeas, and he's got them. And now he wants to take out his hand. But of course, the neck of the jar was such that when his hand was empty, it could go in. But now that the hand is full, he's stuck. He can't come out. And he's in bondage, lost his freedom. And all he has to do is let go of the chickpeas and the hand can come out. But he doesn't want to do that. And so his intellect is totally blocked. And so he's trying to shake it off, but I just need to let go. And when I let go, then yes, I can be free. And Baba has given me more than enough. Count your blessings, experience that gratitude, and you'll see, really, we are very, very blessed. We have everything. So I don't need anything from Kali Yuga. I don't need anything from another human being. Baba has given everything. And then I want to spend just a few minutes on this whole subject that I touched upon earlier. Yes, I want to be Sato Pradhan, but I also want to not just settle my karma of the past, but I want to see evidence that I have settled the karma of the past. And secondly, I want to also do as much good karma as I can, because settling is one thing. Okay, so I finished the things of the past. But what have I stored within myself in order to be able to be full, to carry it with me to the golden age? I need to engage in a lot of karma. And so I think a few people have misunderstood. And so they'll say, yoga, 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 silence, silence, silence. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to fulfill any role in service. I just need to focus on yoga. And the problem with that, when I'm in an enclosed space, I'm on my own, or even with a few other people who are also doing yoga, 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 then in that stage, yes, yoga, of course, is the way to burn my sins and change my sanskars. But I only know how much my sanskars have changed when I'm on the field of action and I'm interacting with other people, right? I can sit in yoga and say, oh, yes, I have God's love, I have God's light. I can be very light and easy and loving with everyone. But that's my imagination. When I come into interaction with other people on a normal level, then I can say, yes, I can truly love everyone, or the mirror for the blind. The interaction with others is going to show me, well, I don't really have that capacity of love that I thought I did. I get irritated by this one and this one and this one. So what happened to that love? So I need to be in yoga, but I also have to come onto the field of action so that I can see how much I've changed. And only when I'm engaged in karma and doing what I need to do, then I can say, yes, I have changed. What I was yesterday, I've changed from that. What I was the day before, I've definitely changed from that. And so every day new, something new within myself, not new in the food. It's the same food. It's the same, maybe it's the same vegetables, the same rice, the same bread. Every day, the basic ingredients are the same. But I'm not getting bored with that. I'm not getting upset with anyone else, but I know that I am changing. And I'm not getting bored, but I'm finding something new from the Murli to use in myself. And so my intellect is engaged, but also I'm seeing the evidence of my yoga. And the second, can I count the amount of sin that I've accumulated from the copper age through to the iron age? 63 births. And so yes, yoga, my sanskars will change. But the other way of settlement is, I've done wrong, now let me do 100 good things, things that are right. Let me engage in service and sharing, in giving, in making time for others, in doing what I can do to help others. And it might be that if they're old and they're not able to cook for themselves, maybe I cook for them and I send them a meal or I take them a meal. So 1,000 different things that I can do to create my fortune, to be able to come to the stage where Karmatit is not just empty of the past, but Karmatit is full of the goodness of the present. My fortune increasing so that it's completely full. And that's what I can share with others also. The journey to becoming full is giving. But once I am full, of course, that giving is totally altruistic. So I wanted to touch upon these two things from today's Murli and then see if you have any questions.
Thank you very much. It was really very deep. And I think when Baba mentioned the blind will see in the mirror, that it is our blindness, because sometimes, like when you said, to see how we are thinking when we are in connection with others. Yeah, this sometimes shows my blindness, and it's good when Baba shows it up and I can feel it and I can change. Yes, we have questions. One is, Baba describes sometimes the stage of a complete light and might house at the end. We will hopefully give visions and communicate through the mind. Is there still further settlement through Dharamraj on the way home to Paramdam, despite of having the stage beforehand? Or is it only the daddies who will reach the stage of light and might houses?
I won't use the word daddies, but I would say that everything is number wise. That is the reality. If Baba's even saying that the stage of Lakshmi Narayan number 1 is different to the stage of Lakshmi Narayan number 2. And then, of course, the 8, and then, of course, the 108. And so it is number wise. The 8 do not experience any punishment. Baba's been very clear about that, because they will actually be part of the tribunal. And so when I see Baba and the daddies and how much they've given to me, and I know I've not settled everything, I haven't changed the extent that I wanted to, so it'll be a lot of sorrow and regret, but too late. It'll be number wise. And so anyone after the 8, number 9, number 10, and so on, maybe just a tiny little bit of punishment. Maybe they haven't fully accepted their own ego, whatever. But at that point, there's the number wise that starts. And so I don't know where I will be in the hierarchy. And hierarchy means sacred order. So it's not a bad word. And the sacred order is the story of drama. Where did I fit in within that whole system? And so let me see now what more remains that I need to clean out and clear out to come to that stage of truly being the lighthouse and might house. And of course, all of us together will be able to reveal Baba, but yet number-wise.
Thank you. There's another one. How do we evaluate ourselves as Baba takes us number-wise to golden age? Is he taking us or are we? For those in the family life, today's Murli suggested doing karma while remaining in yoga with Baba. And its last virus pure marriage Please give Baba's deep knowledge on this.
Baba's the magnet, and Baba's pulling us all and lifting us higher and higher and higher. But of course, to whatever extent I've removed the rust from the soul, to that extent, then I'm able to feel that pull from Baba and keep becoming more and more and more elevated. And a few weeks ago, somebody asked me the difference between rust and alloy. Rust is absolutely when it's the rust from iron. You know how a little bit of water, a little bit of rain, and the iron turns rusty, and you just have to touch it and there's poison. So Kali Yuga, in the end of Kali Yuga, where constantly ego and anger and greed, and so attachments, and so anybody comes near me and that poison from me reaches them, touches them, or the other way, I go near another one, and so their rust also poisons me. And so that stage of going completely beyond the force of the negativity of the vices, so that I become more and more clean. And from Tamopradhan, from the rust of the iron, I come to the copper age. It's a return journey. And in that state of the copper age, it isn't so much poison. Copper rusts, alloy is mixed in it, but it's not the rust of iron. And so, yes, it's green and it's not as dangerous as the rust of iron. Even a tiny bit of rust gets into your blood and it's extremely difficult. So copper also rusts, but this is the alloy of copper that's mixed in into the original gold. And so now I have to remove that. I have to remove the negativity, not just in terms of my actions and words, but also from my mind. I'm going through that process of purification. More, I come to the stage of Sato. And what Baba has defined is that still in the Sato stage, I've managed to conquer my physical senses, but still there's a little bit of mischief that comes in. Maybe I want to eat something, maybe I see something and I say I want it. So not the full conquest of the senses, but more or less, but still a little bit is coming in. And so that stage of Sato Pradhan, where all the vices, including the trace in the mind, have all gone, then in that state of purity, no alloy, no rust, then Baba can pull me to my own highest level very, very easily. And so this effort is not connected with whether I'm sitting in yoga all day or whether I'm doing what I need to do in terms of my family. But yes, surely the lotus flower, that I'm in the world, but the dirt of the world isn't touching me. And so I'm able to stay up above so that others can see the beauty of my life and say, I want to make my life like that also. So Baba's pulling us, but I have to be ready to let go and experience that magnetism that's going to lift me up and up and up. And it's not a question of where you live or who you live with, but it's a question of your own inner state of purity and detachment.
We have another question, and it's regarding churning, because we know in the Murlis, Baba said 5.5 billion souls, but now we know it's more. Or will the golden age start in 2036? Is it that we have to have the feeling the coronation of Lakshmi and Narayan will be then? Or is it that we more look behind the things we are here from Baba? that it is a symbolic value?
It's a very good question because I want to mention something that's very, very important. Sometimes, especially when we're new in Gyan, we take Baba's words literally, physically. You know, Baba says, forget your family. And I know that it's a journey to do that. But I hear Baba's Gyan and I haven't yet churned it properly. And so what I'm doing is going back to my home and saying, oh, I mustn't be with you. I mustn't talk to you. I mustn't eat your food. I must, you know. So a little bit of over enthusiasm in which I tell them, look, destruction is coming. So I personally haven't churned Gyan deeply enough to understand and change my own awareness and attitude, but I'm already talking about it. And it's going to cause a lot of sorrow and a lot of obstacles for me. It's going to create a state where my family doesn't support all of those things. Everybody's aware. But when I'm understanding Baba's Gyan more deeply on a real level of spirituality, then my attitude has truly changed. And I'm with my family and I'm doing what I need to do to take care of them. But now I'm practicing what Baba's telling me. See them as souls, be a trustee and do what you need to do. And so that whole aspect of not taking Baba's Murlis literally is a very, very important one. And so I think that the 5,000 years is fixed, the 84 births is fixed. That's come directly from Shiv Baba. But when it's other things connected with the physical state of the world and the population of the world and things like this, I think that Shiv Baba, Brahma Baba, Bap Dada together are speaking. And so maybe that figure was given by Brahma Baba. I would say that's how I would reconcile it in my mind, that yes, whatever was the population that existed at that time, it was that. And today, of course, the population has gone way beyond that. So I don't know what the population will be in the next 10 years. I'm sure people will be able to give us an accurate explanation, but it's also very interesting for me to see how population not just goes up and up and up and up and up, but also actually what they're saying now, two things. One, that the population of, say, Europe, that's actually falling, it's not going up. Or maybe in some countries it's steady, but certainly it's not going up anymore. But the other thing, when a disaster like COVID hits the world, again, the figures are rising all the time, all the time. So we've seen what happened, not just in Europe and the USA, but then in South America and now in India. And we're waiting to see what happens in Africa, because Africa, I'm sure, is going to be hit hard. So the population, again, the figures will change. That's my point. So physical things connected with the detail of this world, I think that I feel it's Brahma Baba who said that. And Shiv Baba, the Supreme, we can identify the spiritual truths that are absolutely unalterable, the truth coming from God. Those are the spiritual truths. And then with Brahma Baba, the relative truths, but also the example of how Brahma Baba lived his life. And so today when we hear in the Murli, death is just ahead, to me it means two things. A, if I'm young, I think, oh, I've still got another 50 years. Well, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to be when there's going to be a cyclone, where there's going to be an earthquake or anything like that. So what will happen? I don't know. So I can't postpone my effort for 50 years. I have to do my effort today. And So one is very much that personal situation of how much time do I have, and nobody knows how much time they have. And the second is, well, now we are beginning to see the final chapter. And on the one side, the troubles in the Middle East, on another side, the troubles of COVID, but on another level, an economic collapse, which is going to be impacting the world. So it's not that America is rich and is going to be safe, not possible. It's not that China has a lot of money and so China is going to be safe. No, not possible. It's going to be worldwide repercussions. And so I think that it's not such a long time for us now, and the quality of our effort has to be really focused, and I have to use my time in a worthwhile way. So I don't know whether I've answered the person who was asking that question, but I hope you get a general picture.
Thank you. We have another one. The difference between Ashiri and Videshi stage. I don't know if I spell it Ashiri and Videshi.
Okay, it's a shariri.
Oh.
And sharir means body, and a shariri means bodiless, without a body. And then vidhehi, videshi is foreigner, so that's different.
Yeah, vidhehi.
Vidhehi, dehi is the body, and vidhehi is without a body. And it's very interesting that these churnings were so intense and deep decades ago. And she was practicing all of these things, and she explained the difference. She said that vidhehi, the one without a body, that applies to God. He is remembered as the one who is completely bodiless, never a body. But for us to experience that stage in Paramdham, is that stage of detachment in which the body is here, and I'm experiencing, you don't go, the body is still conscious, the body is still breathing, but your consciousness has moved to Paramdham. And I am in that stage of the point of light, just simply with God, the point of light. So that is the vidhehi stage, without a body, the body here and my consciousness there. And then ashariri, more is a stage where still I'm in the body, I haven't left it, but I'm detached from the body and I'm seeing what's going on with my body. And so say, for example, a story of the detached observer. I can be detached and see what's going on. And because I can be detached, I can be more in control of what's happening. Just being the actor on the stage. And yes, even if I'm trying to be soul conscious, but yet the things that are coming at me from here and there and everywhere are creating upheaval for me. And so let me be calm, let me be detached, and see what it is I need to do, both in terms of my role on the stage, but also she'd explained about how, because Baba was practicing that ashariri stage, and Baba was not in the last period talking so much, Baba was still meeting everybody, Baba was still going around the kitchen, the construction site and all of that, so didn't stop karma till the very end. But when there was that time for silence, she said she would feel that it was like Baba was not in the body. And Baba was taking power from God and giving sakash to his own body to keep the body functional till the end. And so can I do that? Can I step away from my body and give my body that sakash? And definitely that will help me deal with whatever are the aches and pains and things that are going on, but also detached from that field of action, see what's going on, and then come back and do what is right. Okay, I'm aware that...
Yeah, we are now have to go. But thanks very much. It was a lot of deep insights, a lot of wonderful sharings, greetings from the family. Thanks to Louise and Isnel and the team. Really, they did great work. And thanks to the translator. I know they are the one who stays from 6:15 till now. And so congratulations to such a wonderful service. You have done it also a lot of years, so you know what it means.